Common sense isn't gone. It just needs a comeback. Common Sense Superheroes with David and Greg.
What's up? Episode number 40. Oh, buddy. My favorite number of Common Sense Superheroes. I am your host, David. Across from me, the bearded one back. Still looks like he's on vacay. Got his glasses on, living his best life. Got the banana boat sunscreen in the background. Greg, we won't even get into how was your trip because we could do that every episode, but we'll get into number 40. I got some 40s being my favorite number, but you go ahead with your number 40.
The first two that came to mind, and by the way, can you believe we've made it 40 damn episodes? Like,
That
who would have possibly
pretty
imagined that we're still going at this 40 episodes in? First two that came to my mind,
maybe six.
yeah. First two number 40s that came to mind are two absolute legends in their respective sports. I got Gale Sayers and Sean Kemp.
Yes, Gale Sayers. When I was given the number 40 by Bobby Smith in middle school football, I think I didn't get to choose what number I got, so he gave me 40. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make this my number. If you ain't gonna let me choose what number I wanted, which I probably would have chose 21 because I was a big Dion guy, but you gave me 40. I was like, you know what? I just watched a bunch of Gale Sayers stuff on Gale Sayers, so I'm gonna be number 40. And Gale Sayers is one of the reasons my hype about number 40 was that indeed. Before they had ACL surgeries and all that, had he not tore his ACL, he might be one of the big names we talk about with the numbers that he could put up. Gale Sayers could fly like no other. My man could just run like the wind.
Yeah, he is. He's I think probably the first in what has unfortunately become a pretty long list of elite level athletes that you go with that what could have been moniker. Like if he could have stayed healthy, yeah, it's just crazy to think that like watching his old highlight films. Man, he was so smooth, just made it look easy. He kind of reminded me of Reggie Bush before Reggie Bush. He just
Great
looked like he was
comparison.
playing a different game because he just made it look so much more effortless. His top end speed looked like he was just coasting, but nobody was coming close.
Yep, he made it look easy. He just galloped through there, if you want to call it. It was just very simple. And when him and Brian Piccolo, I mean, come on, man. I mean, how do you not cry when Brian Piccolo's dying and Gale Sayers comes in there? That's just a tearjerker of a movie. The other one you mentioned was Sean Kemp. Boy, let me tell you something. When it comes to powerful dunks, there ain't many that are going to compare to one Mr. Sean Kemp. He was fun to watch. He was a dunk master. He loved to eat, loved to do something else too, apparently, with all them kids he got. But boy, when it comes to bringing down thunderous dunks, the Rain Man was something else.
Yeah, and I think what made him so unique, especially back then, and again, Sean Kemp was a big dude. That dude was 6'10". I mean, he was darn near a 7-footer. Never could palm a basketball.
Yeah.
Like he literally had to cup every one-handed dunk because he could not palm it and hang on to it. But that being said, even without the ability to hang on to it like some of the greats, that dude has some of the most memorizing, posterized dunks of my generation, man. He had some legendary in the paint on top of people, just absolute nastiness up there in Seattle.
He could go up and get it. That's for dang sure. Gary Payton gets a lot of credit for being good alley-oop man, but I'm like, well, who wouldn't be if you just throw it up anywhere around the goal and Sean Kemp's going to go get it? Sean Kemp got a little crazy at the end there. I think I saw a video last year of him like shooting in a Walmart parking lot or something, going nuts. But now, listen, things get tough after you have about 12 kids and you ain't got no NBA career no more. One of the only people I know that went to Overeaters Anonymous. Kudos, Sean, for trying to do better.
Yeah, I mean, you even remember towards the tail end of his career there, he started to balloon up a little bit, and you kind of had that feeling,
With
man,
the
with this,
Trailblazers, I think.
yeah, when this cat stops running up down the court for a living, this is going to get bad for him.
It's going to be Oliver Miller status, looking like Oliver Miller. But my number 40 is I'm going to go. You took my Gale Sayers. I was going to go Gale Sayers because that is one of the inspirations. You could go Brian Jordan. Brian Jordan, two-sport athlete for the Falcons and Braves. I mean, he was 40 when he played for the Falcons. But I'm going to go a different era. I'm going to go the greatest president of all time in my eyes. Some will dispute. But Ronald Reagan, the 40th president of the United States, just got through watching his movie done with Dennis Quaid, I think, that played it. And boy, let me tell you, I wanted it to be better. I wanted that movie to be a lot better. The acting was just it was just odd. It was weird, but I ended up buying it because it was cheaper to buy it than it was to rent it. But don't take away from the fact that Ronald Reagan is, if you go stat for stat, our greatest president of all time in my eyes. So Ronald Dutch Reagan. How do you feel about Reagan, Greg?
Well, I think, I mean, obviously, as a conservative, we all look to Reagan as one of our guys. I think just because of the environment we live in now, the thing I harken back to, and you and I were both so young during the Reagan years, 80 to 88. But that being said, man, it was such a simpler time because there just was a different feel about politics, about the office. I know there were a lot of people that did. I mean, hell, he won 49 states in 84. So most people were supportive of Ronald Reagan. But just to think back to a time where our country could agree on anything the way that we all agreed to support him, even if he wasn't your guy, man, it makes you again. Here's the nostalgia thing. It just makes you harken back to a simpler time in our society where there was a lot more unity. There was a lot more national pride, and that seems to have been an ongoing subject lately. Of are you proud to be an American? Well, during the Reagan tenure, most all of us were proud to be an American because we were just glad not to be a damn communist back then. And lo and behold, 40 damn years
Yeah,
later, we we
here we
we
are.
starting about to have the same fight. It's going to be us against the commies again.
Here we are. Yes, you were right. Mondale was actually doing well in the polls up until they had that one debate to where Reagan said, when they talked about age, and he said, "I will not let my opponent's youth and inexperience be a factor in this race." And that kind of turned the tables. And like you said, won 49 states. The only one he lost was Minnesota, which was where Mondale was from, and he almost won that. You almost lose your state. That's a beatdown, son. That's up there with some smackdowns, and that's one of the all time great smackdowns. But
Says
Reagan,
all you
I'm
need
a
to know
big
about the
fan,
state of
and like you
Minnesota. Look,
said,
says a lot
exactly.
about
Look at
Minnesota
what
from
they
back
got
then.
now
Look
as
out,
well.
yeah.
Nothing's changed apparently. You got Prince. That's all I got from Minnesota's Prince and or heyday Randy Moss. That's all you got, even though he wasn't from there. But Reagan was liked universally back then and looked upon really well now. But Michael Jackson would go to the daggum White House. Arnold Schwarzenegger would go to the White House. Everybody who's anybody, it was a pride of joy to go to the White House. He didn't have much detractors. Obviously, he was a Hollywood guy, being a former actor and all that. But Reagan was loved. A president was looked upon as somebody who was to be respected. Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. And they were boys. Him and Gorbachev were boys, and he still said it.
Well, and that's you hit the key word. The word was respect. Back then, and even through the earlier Bush years, after 88 through the early 90s, like Clinton, like I mean, Clinton's where you started getting a little off the rails as far as being presidential and the image and the things like that. But even during the Clinton years, we all, again, Republican for my entire life. I respected the heck out of Bill Clinton. We had a good economy. Like he was doing a lot
Mhm.
well. And even back then, even though I absolutely would not have voted for Bill Clinton under any circumstances had I been old enough to, I didn't care. Like it wasn't as big a thing as it is now. There was no sense of animosity or hatred, or certainly not a sense of me saying, "Well, I'm not even going to be proud of my country because that guy's in charge." What kind of horse shit is that? Robert De Niro just be out. I'm done.
Tuh. I just posted on that. But
I
before
know.
we jump into that, let me go back to Reagan because I could talk Reagan all day. I'm a big Reagan fan. But listen, did he kind of pay no attention to AIDS for a while? Yeah. Few a few thousands of people died before he even brought it up. But listen, it was confusing. Nobody knew what it was. Did he call it gay cancer? Maybe he did, perhaps. Did he trade weapons to release prisoners in the Iran Contra thing? Perhaps. But come on, man. It's Reagan. That's my boy now. Y'all lay off my boy. But when he died, that was one of the greatest funerals I've ever seen. I mean, that was you had the horse and the boots turned backwards. It was very Lincoln-esque. It was very nice, very good. But as you mentioned before let's jump into it. Robert De Niro. We've said it before. He says a lot of things we dislike. Trump will come out and say a horrible actor. And I just can't follow you on that train there, Trump, because you got to give Robert De Niro his props. My man, Casino and Goodfellas, I could watch over and over and over. But he did come out and basically say that hard to love the country when Donald Trump's in charge. He went on this whole spiel about why my team didn't win, basically, is what he went on about, trying to call him like, oh, the fascists and all that. Go look up the word first off. But he comes out and says he's can't love this country with Donald Trump in charge. Now, I know how I see it, Greg. You've already said it a little bit, but how do you see that, Greg?
I mean, it's just utter ridiculousness. I mean, this guy has quite possibly, and I mean, and he's not alone in this, but he has lived an absolute blessed life because he has lived in the United States of America, where he has had the opportunity and the freedoms to do all of the wonderful things he's done. Now, I would make the argument that you said you had a problem with Donald calling him a bad or a horrible actor because it's just not true. But that goes back. Think about, it's kind of the conversation Ty and I were having on Facebook. At some point, taking a high road and just telling the truth doesn't work because we can't beat them on a level they won't fight on. If De Niro is going to call Trump a horrible person and a horrible president, isn't the fair part of that equation to turn around and call De Niro a horrible actor?
Well, I get what you're saying, and I
Because if
understand
De
that,
Niro's a
but
great actor and Trump's a great president, and they're just not going to tell the truth and recognize that, then let's just play their game from now on.
that's them. They can say it. I'm saying I'm not gonna say he's not a good actor because, man, like I said, Casino, one of my faves. I love it. I'm not gonna say it. I don't blame Trump for saying anything to anybody to as much as he has been disrespected and talked about. He can talk about people's looks because Lord knows the first thing you hear is orange man, blah, 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 fat, blah, blah. They talk mad ass about him. He can say it. I'm saying me personally, I don't go out on that ledge and say it. And but Robert De
Yeah.
Niro, just kick rocks, my friend. Kick rocks.
No, you're right. And look, as someone who has, I would say, going on probably for the last 18 to 24 months or so, I have really tried to make it a point to live in and operate in the facts and in the truth, even if people don't like it, even if people don't agree with it. Look, objectively speaking, yes, Robert De Niro is absolutely a fantastic actor. He's one of the greatest to have ever done it. All I'm saying is, and the point gets to, at some point, I think we're dealing with a fight that needs to be won. And if they won't come up to our level on the high road to have that fight, then we may have to go down to their level to have the fight. And I think that's kind of what I'm saying. I can support Donald Trump at this point going just about anywhere he has to go to have the fights we need to have, because ultimately, I just think we're at that sort of crucial point in our society where these things are going to have to start being called out. They're going to have to start being addressed. And frankly, somebody like De Niro needs to be put in his place and go, dude, look, you got the freedom of speech. You can say whatever the hell you want. But come on, man, you are worth hundreds of millions of dollars. You live in the greatest nation. Like, you have absolutely nothing to complain about. Maybe you disagree with some of the stuff politically. Maybe some of the policy stuff ain't your thing. But to sit there and say you're not proud to be an American when this nation has provided you every wonderful thing you have in your life, it just rings so hollow. And it's just, again, you get to the point where it's just tempting to throw your hands up and go, I don't even know how to deal with these people because they're just so off base of reality.
Obviously not a big Biden fan, wasn't super crazy about Obama, but it never once did I say or think that I was not proud to be an American. On the flip side, I mean, I love it in spite of somebody who else is in charge that I'm not. And I love that not one party stays in control the whole time. I wish it was our party, but I like the back and forth just because sometimes you got to know what you miss and you got to watch Biden bumble it for 4 years to realize, you know what? Maybe maybe the Republicans do know what they're talking about. But I think it's ridiculous. You just say you hate the country. Well, he didn't technically say he hated the country. He said it's hard to love this country. I can't say that I love this country with Trump in charge. And regardless who's in charge, I love this country, Greg. I know you do too.
I do, man. And it's, you wish the perspective would be such that even during the tenures where your team's not winning, your party's not in charge, you know what, that honestly should be part of what makes us even more proud to be an American, is because we can get through those times where we vehemently disagree with the people in charge. And to be honest, and Robert De Niro is a perfect example of this, life still ain't that bad. It don't suck to be an American, even when your party's not
No,
winning. Like that's the whole point.
does not.
Again, I respect his right to say it. I'll fight for his right to say it, but I'm tired of people saying stupid shit that's not true. And that's like, it's for somebody of that level of blessing to make that kind of statement. It's a microcosm of where we are, but it's also why we all just need to stop listening to people like Robert De Niro and not give two shits what he said.
I used to love the fact that regardless of who was in charge, everyone still was very patriotic. And speaking of patriotic, UFC 250. Boy, I tell you what, if you don't like the flag, you may not want to watch that because it was waving, my friend. The flag was waving at UFC 250 on the White House. UFC held an event Sunday night, which, wow, weird choice, especially you know I can't stay up. Come on now. Held an event on the White House lawn, UFC 250, Freedom 250, they called it. Boy, Greg, did you watch any bit of it before we get into it?
Just seen highlights. But man, from the highlights I saw, the imagery, like it's as American and as patriotic and as red, white, and blue, and
I
F you to the rest
mean,
of the
come
world as it
on.
can get. Love it.
It was. And kudos for Zach Brown, who said, F the haters. I'm going to go sing the national anthem on the White House lawn. It wasn't a political statement. It was just for America. And I'm glad that sadly, you got to point out the fact that somebody has the balls to go be patriotic. That's considered a right wing thing now, which that is ridiculous in itself. It should be an American thing, which everybody should be proud of. But he sang the national anthem, did a fantastic job. A little more bald than I thought. Didn't know he'd gone full cue ball on us, but he has. But sang the national anthem. And listen, Trump and Dana White came out the Oval Office looking like Morgan Wallen opening up a show. I mean, just walked down the long aisle. They had the planes, Blue Angels and the Thunderbirds flying over. The ring girls were in like red, white, and blue. They wasn't full bikini like it was, but they had this, still look good, obviously, but they had the flags on their little skirts and everything. Everything about it was fantastic. We had fights, pretty much first round knockouts every time it seemed like, which is not for the UFC purists or the MMA purists, is not what you really want to see. But for somebody you want to watch an event that's exciting, knockouts is exciting. Plain and simple, it's exciting. You had some big knockouts. Alex Pereira got blasted by Cyril Gahn. Sean O'Malley got a big win. We had Justin Gaethje got a win. That was a fight. The main event was a freaking stud of a fight. Dude couldn't even see the Tapura, the guy that was the champion. Couldn't even see. His eyes were busted open. He was still like that, just swinging at whatever. They ended up having to stop the fight because he couldn't see out of his eyes. But just a great, great fight. You had Derek Lewis get dropped by John Hockett, and that's where it goes a little off the rails for me, Greg. In the post-fight speech, he gets up. Everybody was giving Trump credit for putting on an event like that at the White House lawn and making things happen. And he did too. He went over and actually gave a necklace of some sort to Trump. And then he said, I would play it, but they're trying to cut it down. I tried to post it on my Facebook and they blocked it out. But he said, and listen, after speech, Michelle Obama is a man, baby. Everybody knows it. And that's where I was like, come on, man.
All right, so I'm gonna have to own my hypocrisy on this one, and that is something that look, I try not to be a hypocrite, but when I am, I try to own it and admit it and put it out there for complete transparency. I have on multiple occasions made Michelle Obama as a dude references.
You
I have made
have.
that joke. I have made that comment about Big Mike. I am guilty. Um, the the arena in which I make those statements is slightly different than the arena in which those statements we were referencing. I'm
Yes.
with you, dude, and I can't even really put my finger on. It's just bad form. It's kind of like some of the shit we talk about that Trump does. You go, man, it's like it doesn't have to be that big a deal. But in that moment, on that stage, go like, what are you even trying to accomplish? What are you hoping is going to come from a statement or doing something like that? And it's just performative. It's like everything else you see. It's 80% of what we see in the world is just performative. They're just trying to get some kind of reaction. And I gotta think that's all it was. In that moment, he just got caught up in all the eyeballs on him, knowing how many people were looking and listening. And I think it's just go, hey, you know what? Let me say something that'll make me go viral. And well, he nailed it. He absolutely did. But again, it's people making this as such a huge deal, and obviously it becomes racist because Big Mike is an African American. Well, it's just another thing. Like it's a joke. It's a poorly tasted joke. I'm with you. I don't like the context. I don't like the moment. I didn't care for it in any way, shape, or form. But we cannot take some idiot UFC fighter going off the rails and making an asinine comment and turn it into something that's going to blow up the world as a racist divider again. It wasn't about that, and stop making everything about that. That's my take.
He is a bit of a wild card, and I think Sean Strickland is a serious wild card. If you ain't listened to some of his talks, boy, I'm talking about you can't say anything about Dana White other than the fact that he allows free speech because Sean Strickland says some things I'm like, whoa, buddy,
Yeah, he'll go with
ease
both
up.
sides.
But yes, but again, you're talking about somebody who's willing to get and he's the worst kind of guy because you're like, "Oh, he's just a bull. I can't stand people like that. I'll take him out." No, you won't. He is he is talented. He is a bully that if you try to fight will beat your ass. Sometimes the bully wins. Sometimes the bully's a
Quickly.
bad boy. He is a bad boy when it comes to fighting, and he says what's on his mind, but you gotta be a little disturbed to wanna get in that ring at Octagon to begin with. But Sean Strickland, I believe, got kicked out of the UFC presser that he tried to come to, and they didn't want him anywhere near it. So I guess Josh Hockett tried to be the Sean Strickland 2.0. He even showed up to the weigh-ins, I believe, drunk as a skunk, throwing up on himself as he was going to get weighed in, talking about how much he had drank the night before. But that does tell you how far Derek Lewis has fallen because Derek Lewis, after the first 30 seconds, could not catch his breath. It was embarrassing and shameful. Derek Lewis, I'm sorry you had some fun fights, but you don't need to get paid to fight ever again. What I don't like about the fact that he did that in such the place he did it, first off, it was so patriotic up until that point. It was a great night. Everything was going good. And now what's the first thing you hear of this event? That the fact that he said Michelle Obama was a man. I have not seen any credible evidence that that is the case, that she is a man. But even if she is, whatever, that's besides the point. I haven't seen any credible evidence. I think it's ridiculous to keep saying it. I think Joan Rivers is the first one that came up with it. But beside the fact that you did that there, knowing that what it was gonna cause, Trump's gonna get blamed for it. If you like Trump, you know he's gonna get pushed for it. It had nothing to do with it. In fact, you can see Trump in the background as soon as he says it, take off the necklace like, "Hey, I don't want no part of this." But it takes away from the event for what it was, which was a fantastic patriotic event that was a once in a lifetime scenario, and you had to go ruin it, Josh. So good job, buddy.
Yeah, I don't disagree at all. Like I said, it just it seemed like bad taste. It was bad form all the way around. And I'm with you. Like it was an amazing event. The some of the visuals, some of the pictures and the imagery and the patriotism that was on display. But you know, I guess to me, it's just sad. Do I wish he hadn't made those comments? Absolutely. But to me, it's more of it's more of a telling fact that those comments have been what dominated the entirety of the event, the entirety of the weekend, and everything. Because it's like everything else, man. Any chance we get to take something and run with it in our society, and Lord knows if we can turn something racial, we gotta go racial with it, and that's what I'm just sick of more than anything else. I mean, obviously, like I said, I'm guilty of having made
With
the
the
jokes, but
quickness.
yeah, but I promise you, as someone who has made that very joke, I'm not making it from any sort of racist stance. Hell, I make the joke about Brigitte Macron too, and
No.
she's as white as she can be.
Yeah. Even if Brigitte Macron is not a man, as they like to claim, the fact that she was like his babysitter when he was like super young, That's the weird part to me. That's the odd part. I'm like, is there some grooming going on in this bad boy? Because
All
apparently
right,
she got a right hook too. Because she popping that
I
time
got
getting
an
on that
idea,
plane.
David. We need to get Dana and DT on the line because I'm thinking a Brigitte Macron, Michelle Obama genderless octagon fight.
Hmm. Genderless octagon. I'm gonna go with Michelle. I think Michelle's got it. She's got the height advantage. She's a big chick. She's a big lady. If she's a lady, I'm just. She is a lady. I'm not gonna fall into this trap. But it is funny that the catch 22 is everybody's coming out talking about that's ridiculous. He should not have said that. That's shameful. And then Robert De Niro comes out and says what he says, and they're like, "Well, that's his First Amendment right. He has a freedom of speech." I'm like, "Golly, it's back and forth. Can we say it? Can we not say it?" I'm
Well,
saying
can
it's
we?
bad on both sides. Neither one should
I
say
mean,
what they have the right to say that, but it was stupid to say it.
do we even want to go down the path and talk about the hypocrisy and the irony of the fact that the people that are having such an issue with Big Mike being referred to as a man Sunday night are the very ones who can't define what a man or a woman is?
That is funny. I've seen that posted and it got me laughing. It was like, now all of a sudden, you know what a woman is? It's funny how they point it out now. Before you couldn't put a definition to it, but now, boy, you know what a woman is.
I mean, it just seems like, if we're talking about equality, we're talking about people's rights and protecting people's rights. If they want people to have the right to identify as whatever they want, then do I not have the right to identify you as whatever I want to identify you as? Seems fair.
Makes you wonder. Makes you think. I don't know, but I did post that on my Facebook and I got some hate from both. I think some people think it's the worst things that I could think of is people think I'm a liberal. I'm like, hey, whoa, whoa, whoa. It's like, y'all be thinking that. Like, first off, who the hell's y'all? What are you talking about, y'all? I'm like, good gosh, don't be putting me in that group. I think Ty is even off my bandwagon now. I think he unfriended me. He did not, but Ty is his clear favorite. Who it is now is not me. It's Greg Miller is Ty's favorite because he's coming all on Greg. He's playing you, Ty. You see him coming on here saying the same thing. He's just trying to get on your good side on Facebook. That's all it is. But Ty, my boy, always commenting, and so we can agree and disagree on things. It's fine. But we'll get back on Ty. We'll get him on the show because his son is like killing it in the little racing deal. I
Yeah,
won't
he was
say go
sharing some of that
karts,
stuff with me. That's pretty
but
cool.
little dude is a stud. He's killing it. So kudos to young Eves. I forget his name. I got to remember that, but kudos to him. But we'll have him on to talk about that. I think he's coming here in November, so I might get to see good old
September,
Ty
I
again.
think he said maybe
But
September 12th.
yeah, somewhere along those lines. But Greg, I got some more sad news. We'll get to it. Greg, I don't know how to say this. I hope you're sitting down. I see that, but Jelly Roll and Bunny XO are divorcing. It's a sad, sad day when you can't turn a hoe into a housewife, Greg. Everybody knows that. Jelly Roll tried to. It ain't happening. Have you heard that Jelly Roll and Bunny XO are splitting up?
I haven't heard the details. I caught a couple of blurbs going across my X feed when I was scrolling a little while earlier, and I put it together that was what was happening. I look, man, I like his music. I've actually become a bit of a Jelly Roll fan here over the last year or so. His music kind of speaks to me, and it's some things that as someone who's has gone through depression and is coming out of stopping drinking after years of drinking. It's some stuff that you can relate to, and the story's there, man. Like he is such a feel good story, doing time and then finding Jesus and coming through the other side. And I heard his last interview on Joe Rogan, and man, it was powerful. It was moving. It reminds me of 10, 15 years ago when I first started following Christ and kind of that fire and that passion he had as a new follower. So I love the guy, man. I'm praying for him. And look, man, marriage is hard. You and I both know that. It takes a lot of work to make a marriage work out. And I can't even imagine trying to have any sort of normalcy in your relationship when that's what you do for a living and that's the background and the story. So, it's hard, but all you can do is hope and pray that, possibly they can find a way to reconcile and patch things up and figure things out. But, If not, then you got to make your peace and move on. But yeah, it's a sad story anytime anytime divorce is happening.
Yep. Now let me make fun of him. Uh, I am not the biggest fan. I love his story is great. I'm always for a redemption story. I get it. Rarely will you find myself putting on any of Jelly Roll's music. Um, a few songs I do like is pretty good, but it's just not my jam. Now you could go back and watch some of the videos of when he was a rapper. Man, that's a flow. The man could rap. So the fact that he could rap and then sing pretty well, you gotta give give 'em props for that. I have heard before in the past that they had somewhat of a understanding that, hey, if you're out on the road and, there's a girl or there's a guy, hey, you gotta do what you gotta do, just don't tell me about it. Now that I'm no marriage counselor, but I know that ain't good for a marriage. I know you can't have it like that. And her previous job, which was pretty much an escort, which is how you met her, and an OnlyFans creator. So I mean, there's some questionable things out there. She's supposedly stepped out on him a time or two, but Jelly, let me just tell you this, bro. She was with your butt when you were 500 and some odd pounds. And she's a smoke show, all right? You got it in a skanky look kinda way that I kinda dig. She's a smoke show. Chick's hot, okay? She saw you eating boogers at a UFC event and still stayed with your butt. You you weighed 500 and something pounds, she still stayed with your butt. She saw you go out there and wrestle and give it your all. And I got to give him props. I did before, and I got to give him props. Jelly Roll did a pretty good job wrestling. But still, I go back to the 500 pounds she let you lay on top of her, and she saw you eating boogers on national TV in that UFC event and stayed with your butt. So I don't know what has happened where you think you dropped 275 pounds and all of a sudden you're like, nah, we got to split up. You may want to reconsider, my friend, because you will get somebody as good because you that kind of money, but just an odd pairing, Greg. Odd pairing.
David, on the off chance that we happen to have any females listening to this show, I'm about to ruin it for them because I can tell you, and I understand your point, and you're not wrong. One could certainly make the argument, as they would make for you and I both. He outkicked his coverage. He married out of his league and out of his depth for
Yes.
sure. But I'm often reminded of a late evening in Athens, Georgia, in my very, very early 20s, where I may or may not have been legally drinking, but I was drinking in Athens, Georgia. And I stumbled into a bathroom stall at what was then known as Uptown's Lounge, one of my favorite establishments in Athens. Good times were had at Uptown's Lounge. They
Feel
weren't
like this
real.
story's going good.
They weren't real good on checking ID, so there may or may not have been some underage people in there. But all said evening, I stumbled into the bathroom stall, and I had been in this
Not
bathroom stall.
underage Epstein style. He's talking like 18, 19, 20.
Yes. Well, in this particular bathroom stall, which I had probably visited a handful of times before, but there's stuff scribbled and scratched all over the place, and I just happened to fixate my eyes on what was at that moment a life-changing quote, and it said, very apropos for this discussion, always remember, no matter how hot she is, somebody somewhere is sick of her shit.
Yep. That is so
Even the hot
true.
ones, even the
So
hot ones
true.
can make it a challenge.
Yep. And listen, the old hot and crazy scale is pretty accurate. The hotter they are, the crazier they are. That seems to
I
go
know.
hand in hand. You got to try to
Have
find
you
that
seen my
balance.
wife?
And how dare you? She's not crazy. She's hot, but she's not crazy. But yeah, it's tough. It's a tough one. But I I don't want to feel like I'm taking up for Bunny or Jelly Roll because there is some weird stuff going on with that Nicole Arbor. Do you know who Nicole Arbor is?
I do not.
She's like a she's like a creator or whatever, but they got some kind of beef to where they didn't like each other. I don't know the full story, but basically along the lines of she was dating somebody that was friends with Jelly Roll and Bunny, and then all of a sudden they split up and he tried to ruin her career and this and that and all that. But she came out with a song called Cosplay Christian, basically calling Jelly Roll a fake Christian and has some hidden text messages where they apparently tried to put out a hit on her and tried to kill her and talked about how he was saying like I'm just playing country music and playing Christians to try to make money and all that. But supposedly it's on tape, the audio. But Boy, it's gotten ugly. They don't like each other, and she's having a good day today knowing that's happening, but it's a very weird scenario, so I don't know. I'm not here to question anyone's Christianity, but it's odd, I will say.
No, and that is, that's something that I have become overtly aware of as I've started studying more and really digging more into my own personal faith is, and it's honestly, and I don't mind sharing it on it. It's one of those fears that you kind of have that underlying fear of what if I end up following somebody or listening to somebody who isn't truly about it and isn't even theologically accurate, but it's hard to know. Like you said, it's not our place to judge, and I can only hope that his redemption story is as true as I want to believe it is. But no, marriage is tough, man, and the only advice I can give you is you rarely see a lot of open marriages that have any sort of real longevity. That's I'm not
No.
saying everybody's got to believe what I got to believe, and I'm not even saying everybody's got to adhere to the biblical principles for what a marriage is. But I can tell you that if you want it to last a while, any sort of openness when it comes to the fidelity situation is probably not a good ingredient.
I don't understand that. I mean, I may be for it on one side. I mean, if you wanna let me go, that's fine, but I ain't trying to sit here while you go out on a date. I couldn't do it. That's not my jam, and
Be
neither is
honest.
the other side either, to
Here's
be
the thing,
honest with you.
David, and be honest with me. And I have contemplated this because you see it on TV so much, and the whole open marriage thing and swingers. I mean, it's become something we all know people that kind of live that life. I, you say that it's easy to joke, say, well, I'd be okay with it one way. Dude, I'm telling you right now, the thought of even being in a room alone with another woman is so terrifying to me because I wouldn't want my wife to have to, like, you couldn't do it, neither could I. Any real man who loves his woman could not possibly even conceive of giving that sort of attention to another woman.
It would be odd, and I definitely don't realize understand the swingers part. Ain't no way I'm gonna sit there while some other dudes play on my wife. It just ain't happening. I've seen some of the Diddy tapes, and that's weird. I'm like, I don't get it. I don't understand what you get out of watching another dude. They're like, well, don't you watch porno? You like it with another dude? Yeah, it's different though. I don't know. It's different. But I ain't not somebody I love. I can't. It's weird. The devil's
No, I'm
threesome. I ain't here for it.
I, I'm
Even
I'm
if
an
I do
only
have it.
child. I don't even like sharing food off my plate. I damn sure ain't share my wife out of my bed.
No, I don't get it, but maybe call me old fashioned, but I don't want to see some other dude flower my wife. I know that's a weird concept, but weird transition here, Greg, but we're going to do it just to get off this story because it's going downhill. If I say the name Joey Votchko, what do you say? Because I know I say, damn.
That was seriously impressive. You and I have had a lot of conversations in the last couple of weeks
Wow.
about college baseball and the explosive offenses and the metal bats and all that. To go out there and throw a one run complete game in the College World Series was pretty spectacular. I wish he could come back and throw again tonight. We need some help tonight.
We need them to take out Texas again. Georgia did end up beating Texas 7-1 that game, and like you said, had 15 Ks, went the full game. Didn't have a walk to the top of the ninth inning. And with the BB core bats, the metal bats, like we talked about, to keep balls in the yard as much as he did was pretty dadgum impressive. Sadly, all of them stayed in the yard last night for the most part, except for one big one that took place for Oklahoma. Oklahoma's tough, dude. Oklahoma took out Tech. What's Oklahoma got against Georgia teams? My God. They took Tech out. Now they tried to take us out last night. Stephen Aoki, as I call him, struggled a little bit at the start.
Yeah, it was the 3-0 deficit in the first inning wasn't an ideal start to the game. And I watched all of that game, every pitch last night, and Aoki came back and he battled and he kept them in the game.
He did.
The truth is, and you saw it last night, as a team who has hit a lot of home runs this year, hit three last night. They just all happened to be solo shots, but that's where you saw that inability to manufacture runs, and that's where you and I, that old school baseball comes in. Like, we got some guys with some wheels, man. Let's put some guys in motion. Let's try to scratch an extra run or two here and there instead of just trying to sit there and wait for the 3-run bomb. And it just never came last night. They kept fighting. I thought, man, in the eighth and ninth, when we got runners on, this resilient team has fought back and never quit on a game all year. I thought they were going to pull it out last night. couldn't get it done. But hey, we're still alive. We need to go beat Texas again tonight, and then get our rematch and get our revenge on Oklahoma coming up later on in the week.
Aoki, I'll give he got blamed for that throw that he threw behind at second, and that was not his fault. The second baseman should have been there. He had a perfect throw that could have possibly got him out, but they second baseman wasn't there. So that's on that. He got blamed for it. He got the error, I believe. And then we got put out at second. That hurt. We had a guy at second base and we got thrown out at second with a beautiful pick move. I still think his arm got in there personally.
It,
I think he got back.
The fact that at that level and that important of a game, we can't get a better angle on a call at second base than that.
I said the same thing.
I mean, I watched 3 or 4 different replay angles and you couldn't see a thing from any of them.
I was like, is this not the College World Series? What in the hell? Can we not get better camera angles? Now, when they did show the guys looking inside, when they were going over the replay, I guess the officials, it looked like they had a better angle at it from what you could see. But why they didn't show that on TV, I don't know. But I thought he clearly got back. If you tag the guy in the head, then where's his hand? On the base. I've always looked at that theory. I'm like, if you tag him here and his hands are stretched, guess what? His hand's already on the back. So that hurt. That stung a little bit. That took interesting story about the brothers, the Branch brothers, Kobe and Kyle. One of them plays for Georgia, one of them plays for Oklahoma, and I believe they got 2 other brothers who are like on a national team as well in high school. So, boy, the Branch folks are doing it right. But Georgia did fall to go ahead.
I was going to say the Smith boys can do that in a few years.
I wish they did. Another show. We'll get started on that. Don't get me started. But 3-4, Georgia lost to Oklahoma. Tonight we face Texas again at 8:00. I'm tired of all these 8:00 games. What the hell? I understand there's a time difference, but I want a good 6:00er. Can we get that? Although I do have practice tonight till 7. So
I struggled even with last night's 7:00 first pitch. By the end of that game, I was like, all right, I'm hoping we come back and win, but I don't want extra innings. Let's not tie this thing up and go all night.
it was rough. It was definitely rough. Alabama's out. Wow. Who saw that coming? A lot of big names
Miss gone too.
are not there. Ole Miss out of here. Still rooting for, obviously I'm rooting for Georgia, but if not Georgia, Troy. Come on, Troy. I like the little schools. Make some noise there. Trojans? Are they the Trojans? Oh, yeah, let's go, Troy. Braves, we'll talk a little Braves while we're talking baseball. Only thing we'll say is Spencer Strider out yet again with inflammation in his elbow. And there's a lot of talk about some friends of mine that be like, well, that's it. They just calling it a career. They're thinking there's no way he's going to come back anywhere where he should be. It's a little early to tell, but it's not looking good, Greg. I'm not optimistic.
No, it's starting to have a lot of that Kerry Wood, Steven Strasburg type feel to it, where the potential was there, that hype was there, but you could just see the writing on the wall in those first couple of years. Like, man, the velocity with which he brings it and that motion, something just not working right. And you and I've talked about it. And I mean, the human anatomy, the way the shoulder and elbow are built, it's not meant to be a pitcher. Like it's not a natural normal motion, and to repeat that over and over again with that sort of velocity and that sort of intensity and power. I mean, I'm surprised more pitchers, especially though as hard as they all throw these days, I'm surprised as many of them make it and have long careers as they do without doing some serious damage to their arm. But no, you can hold out some hope. And as of the last I read, was they still just got him shut down for the 4 weeks and then reevaluating. But the writing is kind of on the wall. It doesn't appear to be good, and I certainly wouldn't be making any long-term plans around him as being an ace of the staff.
Yeah. What only thing I have that's somewhat promising is I remember these same conversations around a certain left-handed pitcher named Chris Sale years ago that could not get healthy in Chicago and Boston. And now look, he's our ace basically. So, and he still will have an injury here and there, but he's still determined and gritty. Don't know if Spencer has that grit that I see Sale have, but hopefully so. Hopefully things will happen, but not looking good, Braves. But we did get Drake Baldwin back. So we got Drake back. So some good news with Acuna out now and Strider back out. Baldwin, we need a little spark plug, baby. Come on back. Riley, get hot again, please. Or for the first time this year, but get hot, Riley.
Yeah, the Kenya news is a little troubling as well because it's kind of along those same lines, and you just start to go, man,
Mhm.
it's just always something with that guy. Like, anytime he strings together a couple of good weeks in a row, it's like something will take him out for a week or two. And again, I don't know, you hate to ever question people's toughness, and you and I played enough sports know that the injury situation is real very often. Like it is a thing, but it's also, with you know the way these guys take care of the bodies. You know the way the access to strength and nutrition and all the stuff they have. It's just hard for me to imagine that these guys can't be a little more productive and stay on the field better than they do with all of the stuff that they have at their disposal.
Obviously, I didn't have all that, rehab equipment and all the things at my disposal. But once I hear the word hamstrings, aggravations, and things like that, I just like that. That's the beginning of the end. Seems like those things never heal. Just ask Julio Jones. As great as Julio Jones is, and I know for a fact he had some top guys working in the strength and conditioning with him, and yet it just didn't work out. So once you start hearing hamstrings and quads and aggravations, I get leery. So
Well,
I'm
I
not
can tell you,
optimistic.
I've shared with you that I'm still trying to partake in an adult league softball thing, and we've got our first game tonight, weather permitting. It's not looking much like we're gonna be playing any ball tonight, but should this rain clear and we suit it up tonight, and the Riata Rebels have to go to battle, there's a decent chance I might be having some hamstring issues tomorrow.
Well, rest, ice, compression, elevation, my friend. Although gonna be hard with hamstring to elevate it, but that's it. Episode 40 in the books. We'll get in next time for maybe it's a little more politics on this Iran stuff. I just didn't want to get depressed and talk about it so much right now. We'll talk about that a little bit. I will give a quick shout out to the 12U Buford Wolves All Stars who came home with the W this weekend. Had about a 11 and a half hour day, Greg, for on Sunday for 2 games. That was rough. Rain was killing us, man. We played, we won, then the rain just postponed us forever. So that was a long day, but they pulled it through. Had a guy on third base, had the bases loaded, 2 outs, tying run on third. We had a guy named Reed Griffin, who just shut him down, son. Had him striking out, had him looking at the K, had a curveball K'd him right there at the end of the game. It was a thing of beauty. It was a great,
It's
great time. The Wolves, baby.
Yeah, I saw the post, man, and you keep hinting at the fact that your boys don't really seem to like baseball, but son of a bitch, your social media timeline tells a different story. Y'all seem to be playing a bunch of it, and they seem to be doing
I
well
like
because
baseball.
you
I
post it
like
for
baseball.
pictures after every tournament, so it must be going pretty well. Now, congrats to the boys, man. I know it's fun, and dude, that's you and I've touched on it. I'm so glad that of the two of us that you got to have three boys and live this life because it's fun for me to get to kind of live it vicariously through you. Now that mine Bailey's done with softball and Maddie's into cheer and tennis, but it's just not the same as being out on a baseball field as a dad would be. So congratulations to the boys, man. I know that's 2 games in 11 and a half hours doesn't seem that bad because I've seen you stay at a softball field all day and not play any game. So I don't know what you can
That's
think about
true.
for that.
Well, it's a little different. It didn't help that the rain came so quickly, we wasn't even able to get under some cover, and you just get soaking wet. Once those socks get wet, it's hard to get them bad boys dry. And let me tell you, when it gets rain and it comes in quick like that and everything gets soaking wet, then all of a sudden old Mr. Sunshine rolls out behind them clouds. You want to talk about humidity. I couldn't even breathe. It was like a wet blanket just wrapped around me. So that was tough, but they did pull it out. I was very proud of them.
Yeah, it's a cool thing to be a part of, man. And I know that I know you keep mentioning trying to live vicariously through them because you're not sure how much longer it's going to be. But I'm hoping and praying for your sake that they give you at least a few more years, and maybe at least one of them three will develop some sort of real love for it the way you had, and
I
give you something to
I
pursue
pray
for another
so.
decade or so.
I pray so. I think I coached my last game with my oldest boy the other day. He's out with an injury now with his arm, ironically. So I think I coached my last game with him. I think his last game he's going to play. So bittersweet, but it was a good run. But I still got 2 more in the background to try to see what they can do. But that's it. Episode 40 in the books. Like I said, common sense superheroes. We'll get into more stuff next time, maybe a little more political with the Iran deal where we ain't giving nobody money, but you wouldn't believe it based on what you're listening to. They talking about we coming out of our pocket for it, but we're not. But Greg, leave us with a good word, my friend, as always.
Well, for starters, and I just want to make this abundantly clear, A, we are not racist, and B, neither of us is actually making any sort of factual claim that we believe Michelle Obama to actually be a male. It is a joke. Pretty much all in good fun anytime somebody says it. So having said that, let's get to the important stuff. Look, it's a crazy ass world. We keep telling y'all. So follow this advice, and I promise you it'll make things easy. Get in your Bibles, say your prayers, love each other, and tell the truth. God bless.
Amen. Till next time. Peace.